Welcome to Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by SEO SAMBA. Comprehensive high-performing marketing solutions for mature and emerging franchise brands. To supercharge your franchise marketing, go to SEOSAMBA.com. That's SEOSAMBA.com.
Welcome to another episode of Franchise Marketing Radio. I am your host, Lee Cantor, and I am joined in the studio with Matt Lane with Streamline Brands. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks, Lee. It's a pleasure to be with you, especially in these challenging times.
Sure. So tell us about Streamline. How are you serving folks?
Well, it's been a challenge, that's for sure. But one of the things we've been really doing from the beginning, and I'd say this even 2 or 3 weeks before the crisis hit, is we realized that decisions were going to be coming at us very, very fast. And in order to be able to navigate that, we were going to have to be very, very clear in our value set and our priorities as we were going to be making decisions. And so we took an opportunity in the leadership team to really focus and level set and make sure that the values of our company were shining through in terms of how we supported franchisees. So we created a priority stack of decision guidance. And the first one was all of our decisions were going to be focused on employees and making sure that we treated employees with respect and the appropriate values as we went through this. And number 2 was franchisees. And we put those two groups together, before our company, before our customers, before everything else, recognizing that it's the team that is critical to our success. And that's where we were going to focus. So in doing that, it allowed us to really create a whole set of behaviors and processes to be able to support folks in the best way possible. Focusing on making sure we were giving franchisees as much early information as we possibly can. And some of the franchisees have been telling us since then is that they've actually gotten better information from us as a franchisor than they have been getting from many of the industry associations, primarily just because we're giving them early info. Some of it may be right, some of it may be wrong, but we're giving them early insight into what to expect. And so they're on their toes rather than their heels as they face some of these challenges. And then going through and creating regular cadence with our franchisees to be able to have all franchisee calls and webinars that allow franchisees to be able to dialogue peer-to-peer. That's helped quite a bit as well. As we've created some Facebook forums that have allowed our franchisees and our employees to be able to dialogue together. And what we're finding is by creating that community, not only are we giving franchisees support top down that they're finding is very valuable and helpful, but also we're gathering information from the field by watching the peer-to-peer communications and using that to then guide us in terms of what additional research we need to be putting forth to help franchisees.
So now,
notice that a lot of what go ahead.
Now, with Streamline Brands is focused primarily on swimming instruction in a variety of ways through a variety of brands throughout the country and even internationally, right?
Correct, yeah.
So the challenges that are happening aren't just in one region in the country. This is something that's global so you're dealing with this kind of getting real information from local markets all over the place. As part of the communication, how are you kind of sharing kind of ways to be resourceful, or have you decided to kind of say, okay, we're just shutting down altogether, everybody en masse? Like, how did you make that decision?
Ultimately, our system is founded on franchisees first. And so that, again, back on this idea of making decisions allows us to be in a position where we recommend to franchisees what we think they ought to do with global context. And I stress that word context. But ultimately, it's the franchisee's decision in terms of how they want to run their local business or their local neighborhood. So we talk about our business as an aggregation of neighborhoods rather than an international franchise brand or 2 or 3 or 4. So that franchisee flexibility is critical because as a company who's running multiple brands, we have swim schools under the Safe Splash Swim School brand, we have Swim Labs, we have Swimtastic, and we have Safety Swim. All 4 of these brands have a little bit different character. So you have to be able to provide the right kind of context to franchisees, but also give them the flexibility to be able to run their own business in their particular neighborhood environment. We found that that's been very, very successful, and franchisees really appreciate that flexibility.
Now, for some of the franchisees where this is kind of their first foray into being a business owner, how are you kind of, I don't want to say, well, I kind of want to say, but talking them off the ledge in terms of they're nervous and they don't understand, kind of the uncertainty, or maybe they haven't experienced this from an owner standpoint. Maybe they were an employee somewhere else during maybe some of the other crises that we've had throughout the years, but this is the first time that they're the owner, that they have employees, that they have responsibility. How are you kind of leading them during this tough time?
That's a great point. In fact, much of our dialogue recently across our leadership team has shifted off of things like finance and business strategy and really focused on, believe it or not, mental health, because the anxiety that's associated with in essence, a global situation that probably creates a context that's we've never seen since World War II, is something no one could have predicted. So, to answer your question directly, when you think about franchising, this in some respects is franchising as an industry, franchising's finest hour, and that franchise systems that are really supporting their franchisees prior to the crisis were all about providing franchisees a level of insurance. They were giving franchisees a recipe to follow that gives them the best chance of success. Well, everything's great when things are going good, but it's when times are bad that the franchisors really shine, and that helping franchisees think through very difficult challenges and think through strategies to be able to overcome and bring partnerships to the table that allow franchisees to not have to spend their days and weeks researching and not knowing if they've got the right answers or the best in class partners. The franchisors should be bringing that stuff to the table and helping those franchisees eliminate that part of it, and being able to then give them the opportunity to see light at the end of the tunnel. And that's really where we've been focusing. So you give the franchisees as much of that groundwork and information as you can. You research the best partners. You research the best in class strategies. You give that, and that's that insurance that the franchisees are really wanting. And if you do that right, I think franchisees, and I humbly submit that ours are definitely in this category, really start to see the value of a franchise system now more than they see the value of the franchise system when things are going great. So then you get to the mental health aspect of it, and it's definitely a challenge. Anxiety is real, and serious challenge and financial ledges are ahead of us. And so being able to help franchisees just navigate the idea that they aren't alone is probably one of the biggest strategies we've deployed. And again, is a big value of being part of a franchise system, is that there's a big peer group and everybody's working it together. And ultimately, we've all got our eye on the same solution. And I think that all of a sudden, when you start to see it as a problem that's bigger than yourself and that you're not alone, that challenge starts to mitigate a bit.
Now, is there any way to help the franchisee in that neighborhood or that local market kind of stay connected with their neighbors and say, look, we might not be able to do swim lessons, or maybe we are able to do it in a different way, but we still want to be of service to the community? Are you able to kind of create some best practices or creative ways maybe some of the franchisees are serving their community, but maybe not in the same way they had done prior to this situation?
Absolutely. And the neat part about that is that some of the competitors in the industry are doing similar kinds of things around that, just as we are. But the difference in terms of how we're attacking this is that rather than saying, hey, everybody, we're just going to go virtual and teach swim lessons virtually, if you will. So we're trying to be really genuine and authentic in terms of some of this virtual content that we're building to be able to deepen the connections we have with our customers around the challenges that they have every day. Yes, the setting might be for that content. It might be our swim schools. At the same time, it's not trying to push our product inappropriately. It's just about being human and pushing human connection. At some point in time, we'll reopen for business and we'll start to improve, or not improve, but enhance the programming that we offer for our students in ways that are comfortable for how consumers want to buy our product post-crisis. We think that consumers will probably be more, have a bit of a heightened interest in private lessons, for example, simply because the social distancing will take a while to kind of work through our society. So we'll be sensitive to that. We'll continue to do that. But in the meantime, we're all about trying to just be human and make sure that we're maintaining those connections by just personal outreach from our franchisees to our customers and trying to create some virtual content that they can use at the home beyond swimming lessons.
Now, do you think some of those changes that you're doing just to adapt to the kind of new normal today are going to carry forward as you move forward past this crisis, several months down the road?
Yeah, I think it probably will. I think it's hard to believe that we as a society will have, jumped off this social distancing cliff, if you will, and we'll be ready to climb back to where we were just as fast. I think it'll take time. And we're coaching our franchisees to be thinking about that, and again, just be empathetic and sensitive to how our customers will want to come back, not necessarily to our schools, but will want to come back to normal over time. It's not going to be a light switch that we flip on. So yes, I absolutely believe some of these things that we're doing today around virtual content and around connecting with our communities virtually in general, as well as things like changing and enhancing some of the programming so that we offer more private lessons and semi-private lessons for siblings in our schools will probably become an element of permanency in what we do. There's also some other things we're looking at in terms of screening for students as they come into our schools to ensure safety. We're talking about reorienting some of our lobbies and that sort of stuff for social distancing, even post-crisis. We're just doing some things that probably it's too early to comment on right now, but I definitely think there will, the new normal will be evolving probably over the next 12 months even. It will take that long before things get kind of forgotten.
Now, what is the profile of a franchisee? Who's the right fit for you guys?
We have several different types of groups of franchisees. Most all franchisors that are highly successful have a group of franchisees that are, I would classify as professional franchisees, people looking at developing markets in mass and eventually building a kind of a mini empire. So we have that group, like everybody would, that's successful. Another group that we have are passion people that are passionate for swimming. You would assume that, and swimming is a lifelong sport that drives a lot of passion for various different reasons, including health and fitness and others. So we have that group, the passion players. The other group we have that's a bit unique to our concept is people that just love kids. So these would be people that would typically look at a daycare franchise or other kids-oriented businesses, maybe a tutoring franchise. Somebody who just loves to teach and loves to be part of their community and loves to be part of a happy business. And those guys are another really big group of franchisees that we have. So their passion, rather than swimming, is families and children. So those are our three real primary groups.
And if somebody wanted to learn more about Streamline Brands, is there a website for them to get more information if they're considering this as being a franchisee during this time? I would imagine there already is kind of a lot of people being laid off, and this might be a great second act for some people out there, like you said, that fit those criteria.
Absolutely. And we're already seeing it, believe it or not. It didn't take long once some of those furloughs started to occur for those leads to start coming in. The way that people would get more information is just go to our website, streamlinebrands.com. That's streamlinebrands.com. There's plenty of information there. There's multiple brands to choose from that are in this swim school category, depending on what kind of things people are looking for, as well as what kind of territories are available. Not every city is available. As you can imagine, some are sold out, but there's still plenty of good opportunities out there, and streamlinebrands.com is the right place to start.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for sharing your story, and thank you for doing the important work you're doing in communities all around the planet. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We will see you all next time on Franchise Marketing Radio.